Hi everyone. Just wanted to go over what I've been doing today and sort of cover off on what I've actually achieved this week, and sort of make sure it matches up to my sort of schedule. So the main thing I've been doing today is looking into audio. Now there's no sort of main way to do this in C++. It's very dependent on your operating system and what you're sort of prioritizing in terms of what API you use. Now, this here is a document by, let's go to the top, these lovely folks up here, who are sort of putting together a sort of module for submission to the C++ standard. And I've been looking at this and sort of seeing how they've done a lot of their stuff. And yeah, I've mostly got a fair understanding of it now, I think. Obviously, I'm sort of still very inexperienced with it, but I'm putting together sort of just a very simple low-level equivalent that can just achieve my basic needs, which is loading an ogg file, playing an ogg file, and looping an ogg file to a specific point, as well as maybe a .wav file for sound effects if I need them. But as I say, that'll be my priority for the rest of tomorrow. I've got some of it done. I just don't have it sort of quite functional yet, which is absolutely fine. You know, it's a big undertaking in terms of the progress I've made today. I'm very happy with the amount that I've learnt. So yeah, definitely not a day wasted. Now, I just want to go over what I'd actually done this week then. So sort of in total, just a quick cover off as it is day 7. So if I load this up, you can see also I didn't quite do nothing else today. I changed the color of these keys, made them draw just a little bit nicer, and also I changed the hurt sprite, so you're now sort of transparent in the middle. When you're hurt, and when you're immune, you're a bit thinner. So yeah, I'm very happy with this. So as we saw there, I've got keys, I've got a key door, I've got a player sprite, and I've got a hurt box. So those 4 things being made this week, absolutely fine. And if I go forward to the first level, don't mind this by the way, I did lock the camera position to the main player sprite, which um, it's not too major, doesn't actually sort of change anything. I can just lock the camera again once I get back into this, so that's not too much of a worry. The other things I've made are obviously physical walls, so hitboxes on everything. We've got color barriers that you can only pass if you're color X. We've got these color zones that change your color, which is pretty good. It's going to be sort of one of the main points of the game is changing your color and making sure you can go through the right barriers. And then we've got, if I enable trigger zones, you can see this here is a trigger zone up here, which actually runs event 1, which at the moment doesn't do anything because I just sort of was testing with that, but then removed its code as it's no longer needed. So yeah, overall I'd say I'm very, very happy in terms of what I've done this week. I think, in terms of progress today, it's actually been a very, very good undertaking. So if I just open this up and I go through to my notepad file I've got ready, then we can see, so week 1, get rendering completes, which is done. I'm very happy with how it is. I thought this would take me like 3 days on its own, which it didn't, so I'm very happy with that. Functional player character class built. Yeah, pretty much. The only thing that's missing is respawning, which will take about 5 minutes to implement once I actually need it. It's just a case of I'm doing that sort of as and when. And projectile firing. There's going to be a projectile that you can sort of pick up that fires after a certain amount of movement, and I don't currently have that implemented, so the player part of it isn't implemented either. That's one of the objects that I'm going to implement next week, so that's not too much of a worry. Sprite sheet for majority of regular sprites. If I pop this up, this is just what I've got so far. It's just a test zone for the gas, which is in the works. This is going to be like um, a starting line kind of thing and a finish line. This is going to be a health sprite. This is going to be enemy number 1. This is going to be the projectile you fire. You can see that most of these are in grayscale. That's because the way that I'm actually doing color in this game is I'm applying the color tint to them based on their color in the the pixel shader. So having it grey like this actually makes it a lot more susceptible to just receive a color that you can assign it rather than just having its own color, which I actually really like the idea of. I thought this was a nice little um, plan, so to speak. So yeah, as I say, this is much more of a um, I've got some stuff that I'll need. There's a few more I'll need to make. I think I've got 25 objects planned out, and I've got about 10 of them. Obviously, there's going to be particles in there as well that I don't currently have, but that's not too much of a worry. And then, yeah, create a class of 5 to 10. I've got 8, as I say. Very happy with that for this week. For next week, just a few sort of simple goals. Finish classes for interactable objects. So as I say, I've got 25, and about 15 of those are sort of a little bit more dynamic. They're not sort of static objects like the ones I've currently got planned out, which I think will dramatically enhance the game's fun. I think having a reactive element in a lot of these levels will add to both the sort of skill cap of the game, which it might be a little thing, but having some pressure on you when you're trying to solve a puzzle, I think actually enhances the experience and makes it a bit more fun. So yeah, that'll be next week. As I say, that shouldn't take me too long. I reckon 3 days for most of these. Looking at them, a lot of them are very sort of simple, do X sort of thing. So yeah, not unhappy with that as a goal. So that's 3 days there. Create menu and add an options menu. This is going to be optional just based on if I have enough stuff that needs it really, because at the moment I've got full screen interactability. If I do that, I'm full screen right now. But does that matter? I can have it so that you can change whether or not you start in full screen. I might add a colorblind mode, but I think that's probably likely to be done after the project is complete, to be honest, because that seems like it might be a bit more difficult to do in a limited time span. But yeah, overall, I think that's fair. That shouldn't take me more than an hour, 2 hours maybe, to create a sort of working menu for the opening of the game. And then design 100 elements, 100 puzzles, sorry. Now, in terms of time to puzzle, I actually wanted, I said about 600 hours of gameplay. 600. That would be a bit much. No, 6 hours of gameplay over the course of the game. So that's 360 minutes. Now, for 360 minutes, if it's 100 puzzles, that's roughly, what, 3.6 minutes per puzzle, which it's not unachievable. I reckon that's not sort of far out of reach. Once I've got all of the objects designed, the actual implementation of these is very simple. Designing these over the course of the next week, I reckon for 100 puzzles, well, based on how many I've done so far, like if I count here, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 12. Okay, I've got about 13 done so far, and most of those are for World 1. Now, looking at this, that's sort of scheduled to happen across, 8 to 10 worlds. I might actually make it so that it's 20 levels per world, rather than, uh, what it is at the moment, which would be 10, and then change this to 200, which I think it's a harder goal for sure. But once I've actually got the puzzle design, as I say, like putting together a level based on the objects that I've got, actually took me probably about 30 minutes to make sure it was pretty much perfect for that 1-1 stage. This took me about 30 minutes to put together, so that's really not too bad. If I put that into my time budget and I want to say 200 puzzles, let's say that's 60 minutes for 2, that'd be 6,000 minutes, which would be, what is that, 100 hours, which over the course of 30 days would be about 3 hours a day designing and implementing. Now, I already know that I'm working on this, well, for the most part, about 6+ hours a day. So that should be absolutely fine for for the rest of it. That's not a worry. I do actually have a little bit more than 30 days as well, I think, because I wanted to just make it a slightly longer project, as a November 23rd was a much more desirable finishing date for me. So I don't think that's too unachievable personally. I'm very happy with this. Now let's take a look here. So other things we want in this, well, one is tutorialization. Yeah, as I say, I've got 13 puzzles for that. Very sort of simple ones. 2 through 5, focusing on 2 to 3 elements per world. That's absolutely fine. I might actually have it so that each world instead focuses on one element, and then the other elements are all thrown in to see how they work in conjunction with that. And I think that might be a nicer idea. So, yeah, overall, I think this is very achievable still, based on the scope that I've got, the time that I've got, and yeah, how it's going so far. So, yeah, so far very happy. Week 1 is now complete, and yeah, going into week 2, I think still looking good. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Glad that I can sort of take you on this adventure with me, because it's definitely definitely a lot of new info for me personally. But that is what it is. I will see you all tomorrow. Take care, everyone.